Hello and welcome to this special vlog. Tonight I am joined by Shann, and as the title says, we are talking I'm a Celeb. Now, as we all know, I'm a Celebrity started on Sunday, and we are now Thursday, so we're 5 days into 2024. I'm a Celeb. Um, Plenty happened so far. I mean, Danny's already had a snake in his on his crotch. Dean's becoming the MVP of trials. But we'll start off with Shann. What's your thoughts so far on this year's I'm a Celeb?
I think it's going to be a very interesting one. I think they're starting slowly, but I reckon it's gonna build up because everyone's just too chill. They're all too chill. So I think soon enough, they're all going to start realizing they can release the crazy, and then they're all going to start clashing. That's when the clashes are going to happen because they're all too chill at the moment.
So you say everyone's going to clash. So I'll move on to the first question and the new campmates. Obviously, they only came in last night, but already they've been set the challenge of keeping the junkyard a secret. Well, its real identity a secret, and having to get a camp bed off one of the main camp. Now they succeeded in that, but do you think that they can keep it going, or do you think their cover will get blown tonight?
I don't know. See, I think last night they were letting out too many hints when they was doing the when they were sat on the top with Melvin sending down the offal. They were giving out too many hints when the Rev was just like, it's no tea and cake, tea and sandwiches up here. Like, I feel like they're gonna get to a point where something's gonna come out, and instead of one of them agreeing with the other, it's gonna kind of like blow the cover. Either that, or they're gonna continue doing it. I think I don't know. I think they could do it.
Yeah.
But I think if anyone does rumble him, I think it would be like GK or Melvin.
Right. Do you think Melvin had any suspicions when they were doing that task to get the cupcake?
I don't know, but if I was Melvin, I would have been like, why are they going quiet sometimes when you can hear like the drops and stuff, but they're not screaming at certain points because they're just enjoying the tea and sandwich.
Yeah.
So he might have had something, but it might have just thought they were just braving it and just not being screamers.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to think really, because I mean, I don't really know much about the new campmates that have come in. I mean, I've heard their names like mentioned like in passing, but I don't know enough about them. Now I know one of them's a reverend, and obviously when you think of a reverend, you think they're attached to the church, they're born not to lie. So this is for me a real test for him, because he can't, theoretically he shouldn't be lying, but he's having to in order to get a good treat for the camp.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because it's like a banquet kind of thing that's on offer, I feel like he might carry on doing it. But I reckon like the second he gets like they all get reunited, I reckon that's when like it's gonna really hit him what he had to do. I think it is gonna play a massive part in his guilty conscience for like the rest of like the season, because they might just sit there and think, well, we can't trust these two.
Yeah.
I feel like that could play heavily on whether the campmates form a relationship with them, or whether they put them on like a back burner.
I mean, in previous years, in previous seasons, when they've done something similar to this, once obviously the campmates have gone into the main camp and explained what they were doing and why they were doing it, some of the campmates did get a little bit like, I don't trust you, but majority of them were like, all right, fair enough. Like,
yeah,
we were doing it so we could get a treat. So, who do you think out of the whole camp is going to be that person who's going to be like, I don't trust you because you've lied to me. You've lied to me before you've even come into camp.
I think, considering his reaction to the contraband, I think Alan could be the person, just because of his reaction when he found out it was Melvin that had the contraband and not Lisa.
Yeah.
Even though it was like a jokey reaction, I feel like Alan could be that kind of person that would have that style reaction, and people might think that he's not messing about a little bit.
Yeah.
And considering they've barely been eaten as well, I feel like a lot of people could take it a little bit more serious.
So I'm glad you mentioned the contraband, because obviously that task that Melvin and the two new campmates had to do. Obviously, at the start, he counted the cupcakes, and there was 10.
Yeah.
Five white chocolate, five obviously whole chocolate. But then after when he finished it, there was only 5, and the note said that there's contraband in the camp, and he had to get all the contraband and take it obviously to the tower to hand it in. Now, even though that they said that they've given him everything, do you still think there's contraband in the camp still?
I feel like, considering how quiet the camp was, like normally when there is like a lot of contraband, everyone kind of just sits up and they all start admitting and they all start like rummaging in the socks and stuff. I feel like the camp was just too quiet, and
Yeah.
I can't be the only one that thinks there's only been 4 tea bags and a salt and pepper sachet smuggled in. There's got to be a bit more than that, even if it's like, I don't know, a bit of lip gloss or something.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon there must be more than what they're letting on to believe. But
yeah,
I mean,
I feel like
as the note said, if there's any more contraband found or knowledge of, then more punishments will come.
But then could the 2 newcomers also have contraband but not realise that they've already been punished for contraband?
Potentially. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Yeah.
Or they go into main camp and their last challenge is to get everyone to drink or eat whatever contraband they've got. And if they get everyone to eat it, then it goes towards the buffet that they're obviously working towards.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
I mean, that would be interesting to see if that is going to be the last challenge, because obviously the main camp know that they're not supposed to have contraband in. But obviously, as you said, the new campmates might not know this rule. So that might be a challenge for them. That might be their last challenge to get into, either to get into main camp or when they're in main camp.
Yeah.
So that one will be interesting to see what happens tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it'll be tomorrow that they'll enter main camp, because they're only got to stay in the junkyard for 2 days, isn't it?
Yeah,
and yesterday was day 1.
Yeah, so it'll be like today for them now, whatever time it is there, that they're going in, but we'll see it tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've touched on it already because I've mentioned it. But let's talk about the MVP of trials at the moment, and Dean with his trials. I mean,
you know what? Props to him.
I mean,
I
will give him his due. He does try his best.
I mean,
however, I did think in yesterday's episode he was going to call "I'm a Celeb"
in the Spiders
before the trial had even started.
I thought it was going to call it in the Spiders.
I mean,
I didn't think it'd be the fish guts. That's for sure.
Well, no, but the thing is, I mean, as I can't remember if it was Ant or Deck who said it, but if he allowed them to tell him what it was that was coming in,
I think it was Ant that said it for that one.
Yeah, I think it was Ant. If Dean had allowed them to tell him what it was that was coming in and joining him, I think he would have been fine. If he'd have known it was fish guts, he would have been fine. But as he said, he felt something wet and heavy on the back of his neck, and he got scared.
I mean, if
That's
it's
why
coming
he
from
called
behind me
I'm
as
a
well,
Celeb.
I'd probably, and the smell as well. I can imagine it not smelling nice, and you want to do the best you can to get out of there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
when you're having to do a trial like that using just your mouth, I can't imagine the way you're smelling it and the way you're going to taste it.
Yeah,
I think that would freak me as well.
I mean, the trial that he done with GK. He done his best. Like he got the keys and he got them sent down to her, but it was her that let him down because she wouldn't go under the water.
I think it's because as well with her being like by the water and stuff, she can kind of see underneath as well. So she's seeing like the eels and the croc as well. She's gonna maybe think about the stereotypical crocodiles, like the big ones, and if they see you, they're gonna prey. She might have panicked about that, so she was trying to wait for him to be at one side, for it to go to the other, and then she's panicking as she's under, not got the right breath control. I think if they'd had like more control, or if Dee maybe had, say, Alan with him or something, and Dean was underneath, I think they would have done a lot better because Dean seems quite fast paced with a lot of stuff. Once he's got over that initial threat,
I mean, what we've also got to remember is Dean's claustrophobic. Because if you think about the sarcophagus trial, where his head, obviously it was his head that was covered, and he was having critters and all that put inside there. That didn't faze him at all. Absolutely no problem. It was when his lower half started filling up.
Yeah,
that's when he panicked. And I don't know. I think with that trial, no matter what way they done it, whether GK was on top and Dean was on the bottom, personally, maybe with Dean being on the bottom, they might have got like 2 or 3 stars. I don't think they would have got all 10 because I think GK would have.
Something.
They would have got something, but I think GK would have spent majority of the trial like not wanting to put a hand inside because she obviously couldn't see fully what was in there.
Yeah.
So if you think about when they were at the riverside as well, and she had to stick her hand in to get the key out, she spent all of it screaming and refusing to put her hand in. So I think that's the problem that they would have had if they'd done it the other way around. But we'd never know because it'll never be done again.
Well, yeah.
But obviously, last night we found out that Danny and Dean were doing tonight's trial. Do you think that they can get more than 5 stars tonight?
Do you know what? Considering in the first trial Danny did, and he had that lovely visitor, I think with how fast he did that, he is going to be able to somewhat go around with a lot of energy. But I still feel like there's going to be a lot of screaming, but there's going to be a lot of laughing.
Yeah.
And I think Danny's going to be like that big brother figure that Dean needs by his side just to get him through a trial, so Dean can go back, and even with help, if he can go back and say he got like 8 stars, he is going to be so ecstatic with himself. Considering 4, look how amazed he was. If he can double that again,
yeah,
I think the camp will eat tonight.
Hopefully so. I mean, I think Danny being with Dean will give Dean the boost of confidence that he needs.
Definitely, and they're both quite quick as well.
Yeah, they're both quick and agile, and I just hope that Dean doesn't see something, get scared, and then calls "I'm a celeb."
Do you know what? I think if he's got someone there, it might just be like, "Can you do this one?" You know, and they might be able to switch what they're doing. If you can see that Danny's really cool and calm, and Dean's a bit think Danny might even offer to take over and swap places as well. I think Danny will be that big push and that big help that he needs. Like, I'm going to admit now, I voted last night for Dean and Danny because I was like, if anyone can get anyone through a trial, it's going to be Danny because he tried his hardest with Barry.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, I mean, I did sit here last night, and when they obviously shown like what the trial was, and it was 2 people, I did sit there and I went, oh no, it's going to be another Dean and GK trial, isn't it? I was like, oh, it's just going to be it's going to be the same as previous years. Two people are absolutely scared of everything, and when it comes to the trials, it'll be the same two people every single trial until they get voted out. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we had it last year with not last year. We had it with Matt Hancock because everyone despised him. He got
Yeah,
voted for every single trial,
but
but
he
he smashed it.
smashed. Yeah, he smashed it. There was
And
what
that's
I
what
think
annoyed
last
me.
year as
He was
well, though.
smashing every single trial, yet people were still voting for him.
I'm trying to remember who else was in there last year because there was someone that did quite a lot of the trials last year, and everyone else was like, "No, I want to go do a trial." So when it was time to send where the campmates chose who was going down for a trial, like they were choosing each other, and this person had like a massive break from it, and then it got further down the thing, and they was like, "I have to do trials again."
Oh yeah, because didn't they bring in a thing where it was the camp leader would nominate someone to go and do the trial?
It was Danielle that did a lot of the trials.
Yes, yeah, it
She
was,
did a
wasn't it?
lot, and it got to a point where she was putting everyone's names or everyone's water bottles in a hat or in a bag, and they were picking out water bottles, and the last one out was the one that was going to do the trial because everyone wanted to do a trial. They didn't want Danielle to do them. They wanted to give her a break. So I
Yeah,
feel like if we have a situation like that again this year, at some point, people like say Alan might take over and be like, "I want to do the trials now." Dean's had enough. Like I feel like a lot of them will sit there and be like, "Dean, no, you're not going down." But by the end of it, Dean might just be like, "Just take me down, just take me down." He might
yeah,
start making me walk himself.
yeah. I mean, I, I think with I'm a Celeb, they need to bring something in where after three consecutive trials,
Yeah,
that person should be exempt from
yeah,
like the next trial or the next three trials, because otherwise we're just going to have the same person over and over again. And yeah, all right, it is funny like watching the same person get scared of a spider and then calling I'm a celeb, but when it gets to the third one and it's the same person, you kind of like, I'm bored of this now. This
yeah,
is boring. Like, put someone else in. So
definitely.
I think after three consecutive trials, it should be right. Dean, you're now exempt from the next two trials. You're not going to be doing them. Get someone else in. All right. I mean, if they did it this year and said to Dean, right, Dean, you've done three consecutive trials. You're not doing the fourth one. You're exempt. The UK would, everyone would probably vote for GK for three
Yeah.
consecutive
Although
trials.
you think as well, obviously the last two in a row as well, it's been down to Dean and Danny. So I've got a feeling that Danny might be the next favourite. Like if he does well with Dean tonight, they might turn around and vote for Danny just so the camp can eat to lift the morale before, everyone starts leaving, and then you get
Or
all the other stuff that's coming into play.
or the problem that we get is that Dean and Danny do really well tonight. They get 10 stars, and then instead of voting for Danny or Dean, they vote for GK
And
and get
then
her to do all the trials.
maybe,
Because I mean, if we look at how she was at the start of the on the first episode, um, trying to get the keys out to unlock the boat, she was screaming all the way through it, and then in the trial with Dean, she wouldn't even go in. She wouldn't even go in the water for a fair bit, and she was stood on the ladder before the water had even came in.
yeah. But then she did do that other trial, didn't she? She got 9 stars.
Yeah,
So she can do it. I feel like Dean and GK between them are a pair of screamers. So if one screams, it sets the other one off.
well, that's what Dean was saying after the trial that both of them did. That he was
Yeah,
trying not to scream too much because it would trigger her.
and she was like the same. And then I think it got to a point where he then realised what he had to do, and by the time he was being real supportive, it was kind of just like a little bit too late, so they were down to like the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But sometimes it happens because even watching the trial, you're thinking, oh, time's going really quick, that I've still got loads of time left, but you don't realise them 10 minutes go by so fast, even watching them. Even though some of it is edited as well for the viewer, it still must go really fast for them because the adrenaline's pumping, and 10 minutes will feel like 2.
Yeah. And I mean, yesterday's trial that Dean did, obviously it was in the containment unit, and they're all different. It was all different. You had one where you could just spin it with your tongue. You had one that had a cage around it, and you had to basically lift it over some slopes with your tongue. 1 minute to do that on the caged one, I thought was a bit stingy, because I was like,
yeah,
even if I was listening to what Ant and Dec was saying of move your head forward a bit more and like open your eyes so you can see what you're doing, it'd be easier. I still wouldn't be able to do that in a minute. And when he came out, when he came out and said, you both stand there giving it all big and like giving advice, but you try and do it, I reckon they wouldn't get anywhere near as many stars as what he did if they had to try and do that.
No, like if we could get someone like 2 presenters in from anywhere, like say Dermot and Alison, and they were to host it one year, and Ant and Dec would be contestants, I reckon Ant would be the first one to shout it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I reckon Dec could give him a good go, but Ant would be the first one to shout it if he had something come on top of his head.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think them two would last.
No, I don't either.
In a Bush Tucker trial, because personally, I mean, they stand there thinking, "Oh, they've said it before. Oh, I wouldn't want to do that." No, you wouldn't. So why are you expecting other people to be like? You're saying you can't do it. Why are you expecting other people to do it in less than a minute? Like,
exactly.
Where's the logic in that? But I mean, I must admit, Ant and Dec do make the show. Like,
they do.
Having them two.
So weird last time when obviously I know like Ant was having his troubles and stuff, but it was so weird having Holly present it with Dare. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't the same. Them two bounce off each other so much that even though we say you won't go in there and do that, I don't think we could also sit and watch a Bush Tucker trial without Ant and Dec commentating it.
No, exactly. And I think that, I mean, when them two retire, if they still continue doing I'm a Celebrity, for me, it just would not be the same without Ant and Dec.
I feel
really wouldn't be the same.
You past like you maybe get a king and a queen in to present it because they know what it's like, so they could present it as well as doing the trials and be like.
Do you know who I'd love to have? Do you know who I would love to have on there presenting it? Really would love both of them. Now I know one of them's a runner-up, but seriously, I would love to see Tony and Sam. Sam. I couldn't remember his name then.
You know what? Watching Unpacked on an evening with Joel and Sam, like they get it and they understand.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be better with Tony and Sam just because of Tony and Sam's bond and their friendship.
Yeah.
Because when you watch,
you've got the Rottweiler. Well, I mean, if you think about it, you've got the Golden Retriever, and then you've got like the serious let's keep our heads in. Let's do this.
Sam would try jumping the trials and do them for the guys anyway.
He probably
Sam
would.
literally would run back. Like on Unpacked last night when they were setting up the trial for today, he was going in. He's like, "Can I touch things?" And I was like, "No, because nothing's in." He's like, "I want to play with it." You know, Sam would go in and do the trials with them. If it's two-handed, Sam would be like, "I'm going down."
Yeah, I mean, Sam for me, like throughout the whole entire series last year, he just made made I'm a Celeb. It was like if you was having a really crap day at work, or if you was just going through so much crap during that day, you just knew at 9 o'clock you could sit down with a cup of tea, watch I'm a Celeb, and just laugh your guts out.
Well, it's like
Because
Sam was
Sam was
living
just
his
brilliant.
dream. He always wanted to do I'm a Celeb. He met Marvin, and obviously he loves JLS. Massive fan of Tony. Like, that to him was his dream come true. And if anything were to happen to him after the show, and he was to have had a serious accident or something, he's lived his dream.
Yeah.
He would have had an accident, a happy man.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. 100%. But we'll move on to the next question. And who do you think out of the camp, excluding the new campers that have just come in, but out of the 10 that started, who do you think is going to be the first person to be voted off?
I hate to say it, but Jane.
Do you really think Jane's going to be the first person voted off?
Well, she's not really bringing anything to the camp. Whenever she's really talking about something, like, it's not much, and then to get relevant in a conversation, she name dropped like Diana and stuff like that. I feel like in some way it's gonna be her, because you think in the last few years when people started name dropping, the public either gave them the worst trials or there was always in the bottom two.
Yeah.
So, because they want people to go in and be the authentic self, and if they can't do that and start name dropping, public are going to be, we don't want to see this. Because as a viewer, I'd rather get to know who Jane is rather than hearing her tell stories about Diana when, you know, there was having a conversation about Colleen's, like, what Colleen had to go through and stuff like that. And then she sat there and she was like, but then if Lady Di had gone through this, and it's like, you didn't have to name drop though, did you? You could have just said another celebrity with a bigger thing. You didn't have to name drop her.
Yeah, true. I mean,
like, you know, like talking about like them going on holiday and stuff, like the media would have already have known that, like, Diana would have said, we don't want to have any photographs taken this day and that day, but if you leave us alone for the holiday, we'll have a full pack day this day. The media would already have known that, because they would have already covered that years ago.
Well, you know, but I mean, if you think about, but if you think about as well, the way that, well, if you think about as well, like with what happened to Diana, that obviously she kind of became like, how can I say it? She kind of became the dark horse of the royal family.
Oh yeah,
like they kind of like slow. They didn't like. It wasn't like a slow push out. They basically kicked her out and said, "We don't want anything to do with you anymore." And I think that's why she name dropped, because she wanted, because obviously them two were best friends, and she wants everyone to know what Diana was like, not for what she's being portrayed as now.
But I feel like at the moment that's all Jane's bringing to the table, is just the way she can name drop people.
Yeah, but
I feel like if we saw maybe a bit more of a caring side, or maybe if we did get her into a trial and we saw what she'd bring, like that kind of way. I feel like at the moment she's just kind of relaxed and like she's on a holiday.
Yeah.
And like not forgetting that, like, you know, soon enough morale's going to need to be brought up. You know, you've got challenges that you're going to have to do. Like, everyone in that moment,
I think if they manage,
we've all got energy, and they're going to need their energy, morale leveling out at some point, which is good for. But I feel like she might be the first one out.
I mean, I think if the new campmates do manage to complete all their tasks and they do get the buffet for everyone, that will definitely 100% boost morale.
100%.
But I mean, we'll just have to see how they get on with that one. But
yeah, but
I've asked you who's going to be the first to be voted off.
Oh, I knew you were going to ask this.
Who do you think is going to be crowned king or queen of I'm a Celeb 2024?
Right. So at the moment, I do have my top 5.
All right. Okay. So let's say you
Right.
fifth place.
So 5th place, I think, would be Dean.
Okay.
I think he'll do well enough to get to 5th.
Right. I can't argue with that.
And I think, yeah, I think maybe Alan will be 4th, but I really want Alan to win because of my Coronation Street, but I kind of already know how I want my top 2 to be. I think 3rd place might be GK, but that's my opinion, but I feel like she could probably go all the way.
Okay. Just before you announce your second one, we're just going to take a very quick, short break for like a minute or two, and then we'll be right back to hear who your second place and who your king or queen of the jungle will be. So
Yeah.
we will be back very shortly. Shann who's going to be the winner of I'm a Celeb 2024. She's given us her 5th, 4th, and 3rd place. Now let's find out who's going to be runner-up and who she thinks is going to be the winner of I'm a Celeb 2024. So Shann, who's coming second this year?
It breaks my heart to say this, and you know it broke my heart to say Alan, so you know exactly who you think I'm going to be runner-up, don't you?
Yeah.
I think I want him to win so bad, but honestly, I feel it's time. So I think Danny's going to be second. It breaks my heart. And I'm absolutely adoring her right now. And I am loving her. I'm loving who she is as a person, just how humble she is. You know, how true she's actually been. Like, I feel like she's been one of the truthful campmates. I think Colleen could go all the way and win it.
Really? Colleen?
I think Colleen could win it. Now, as long as they're my top 5, but I feel like Colleen could win it.
Interesting. So you're going against the bookies' favourite of Danny then?
Well, I've said, you know, I've told you my top 2 were always going to be Danny and Alan. And yeah. I feel like, obviously, as a big Coronation Street fan myself, that I should have stuck true to that. And obviously, Dougie winning it, maybe it was time for Danny to win it. I know Tom's not being in there, but obviously Tom's wife won it. But I feel like the way things are going at the moment with how close it was last year with Danielle being one of the favourites, I honestly feel like Colleen could possibly... I think it will definitely be a queen, but I want it to be Danny or Alan or just any one of them top 5s. But I think if Dean and GK start building with the way up we're going and stuff, the public are going to be like, oh my gosh, like they're young, but they're really doing it.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, no, I think there's a queen this year. I honestly think there'll be a queen this year.
I mean, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm going to do another one once, obviously, I'm a Celeb's finished. Hopefully get a few more people on. So I'm going to keep a note of that. Like, you're going Danny for second and Colleen for first. And when we do the next special at the end of the series, we'll come back and we'll see if your prediction was right.
It might not be, but I feel like GK and Clean will be the two girls that do go all the way through. I don't think I'm going to be right. I really don't feel like I'm going to be right. But I've been sat there all day and I knew you're going to ask it. And I've been sat there waiting up in my head and I was like, Dean and GK probably going to get quite far. And then I was like, that was a toss up between Alan, Danny and Clean. And I was like, we've not seen much of Alan yet. So I wanted to keep Alan in my top 5. I was like, we've seen bits of Danny and we've seen him do what he's doing, you know, his relationships and stuff that he's doing in the morning. Like he's really being that person that's like lifting the camp and stuff. But I genuinely, with every piece of my heart, think like Colleen is a worthy winner. She could do it.
Interesting. Well, we'll find out. I mean, it'll be interesting if she does, because
I would love her to win, because I would want that moment where, you know, like the final 3 or final 4 or whatever, they get their family in camp. I just love to see that moment, her and Wayne are reunited, because I feel like Wayne would be the person that they would bring into camp. They've been together since they were teenagers. I don't think it wouldn't not be him.
No.
And I feel like that'd be the moment that the public could keep her there for that moment, especially with how much she talks about him, because they're such a private couple. Yeah. And the way she talks, the way they love, like, you can see that, like, it's the love that he's given her that's literally getting her through every single day, and I want to witness that moment.
Yeah, definitely. So, I know they've not said yet if there is going to be new camp leaders, but let's go on the hypothetical that there's going to be new camp leaders after Talisa and Alan. Who do you think would be the new camp leaders, or who should be the new camp leaders?
Oh, again, I'm gonna have to go for my boy Danny. I think Danny's going to be up there. I think Danny and Oti would make a really good team.
You know what? I never thought about Danny and Oti.
I think
her name never actually crossed my mind.
She's not really crossed my mind for a lot of things, but I think for like a camp leader, because of what obviously all the duties and stuff people get and stuff, I feel like Danny might want a break from cooking.
Yeah,
there's only so much Rice can cook, you know. So I feel like
you can't break up. What is it they call it? The Delving Kitchen.
Delving Diner.
You can't break up the Delving Diner. You can't break that up.
Yeah, but they can always put Delvin's Diner back, because they have to switch chores up. They could always put them on like there if they need an extra chore or something.
Yeah.
But no, I think Oti more so, because like she might be the person that if someone wakes up in a bad mood, she'll stand on the bed and start dancing. And it'll get her rope dancing, you know, and she has her track as well. So if she's camp leader as well and she can see everyone's down, she can get the track played and everyone can just play, oh, this is why we love you. Yeah. But obviously the public choose first time, don't they? And then the camp chooses, or it's vice versa or something. But yeah, no, I think Danny's definitely going to be one of them.
I can't remember how they done it last year, because I can't remember if it was we voted for new camp leaders or if the campmates voted for new camp leaders. I think
they've done it differently this year, because last year we didn't have the camp leader straight away. So we voted the first time and then the camp voted. But this time they had to win the race to be the camp leader. So we've had camp leaders from the beginning.
I will admit, though, the way that Ant and Dec, because you know, like when they meet up and at the house and all that stuff, they normally have like a welcome drink.
I loved how they put them straight in for it. I loved it.
Oh yeah, put them straight in for it. First trial of the day, and you've got to down that drink and then run to your helicopter. Yeah. I thought that was brilliant, the way that they've done that. It gives them a taste of what's to come.
Yeah, I cannot wait for eating trials. I cannot wait for them to start. I was literally looking into today. I was like, when do they start? Because I know full well it's going to be a 2-hander. And the first 2 people I want to see do the eating and drinking trial is Danny and Talisa. because they had to do it when they first got there. And we could see they smashed that, so they would do that well and bring back the stars for camp.
Yeah, definitely.
So
but
I also feel like if you listen to what I said at the end of the episode yesterday, and Dex said the 2 new campmates are down at the trial area, so they're going to do an eating trial before they go into camp.
Ooh, now that could
shake things up.
That could shake things up massively.
Because that could be like the difference between them actually getting the buffet or losing things off the buffet. Like if they lose stars, like if they don't get all the stars, someone loses a cost from the buffet.
Possibly.
If they're having to lie to them, could also them lying to them result if they don't get the stars, they also take away. Because they're being taken, like they're washing up, they've been taking the bed and stuff. Could this also be a sabotageable trial for them to take more things from the camp?
Possibly.
Possible. I've been thinking about that all day.
That's room for thought, actually.
Watch out for.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that is everything for this evening and for this special. Obviously, we will be doing one again after I'm a Celebrity is finished. Might not be the same day that it's finished, but 1 or 2 days after. I'll definitely be hosting another special.
I think do it the day after.
Yeah, I'm going to try and aim for the day after. Hopefully, I can get one in for then. If not, it'll be a couple of days after. It just depends how I can work it out. But Shann, thank you ever so much for joining me on tonight's show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I will definitely have you back on the end of episode. Well, end of series.
We know we need another guest that's going to say Katie Price, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were meant to have had another guest on. We were meant to have had Liam, who I have had on the show before. You can go and check out that video now as well. He was meant to have been coming on. Now, he's never watched the show in his life. And I do a quiz for him as well, for his WhatsApp group. And one of the subjects was I'm a celeb. Now, the only person that he knew was Katie Price. So he was meant to have been on. He probably would have been talking about her all night, saying how she's going to win. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But no, thank you ever so much, Shann. There will be a vlog. There will be a daily vlog coming out tomorrow for everyone that wants to go and watch that. If you haven't already, please go and follow me on Instagram, as I will be posting all updates on there. I will be putting Q&As, polls, so much on Instagram. So make sure you go and follow me on there. It is currently flashing across the bottom of my screen of what to search when you're in there, so that you don't miss a single thing, because there will be stuff happening all throughout Instagram and throughout the rest of the year as well. And then make sure that you keep an eye out for New Year's Eve, as I will be doing a giveaway, and more details of that will be announced within the next couple of days. So make sure you keep an eye out on my Instagram stories, because all the information will be posted on there for you. But for now, Shann, thank you ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will speak to you again soon.
We'll speak to you later.